Hi guys, and welcome back. So first things first, this is going to be the first half of this video, so there will be a second half where I color this. But for today, this is going to be the sketching and the inking of this piece. And the inking took a really long time on this one, but I'll talk about that later. I'll talk about the sketching first. When I started this one, it was really more of just a warm-up. I was letting myself just draw and get going for the day and start getting my hand moving, and I started liking the overall appeal of it. It was something that I decided I wanted to work a little bit more on and refine it a little bit more. And that's what I'm trying to train myself to do again, because I think I used to do that more. But I usually now feel very rushed. I feel like once I have something down, I need to move on to the next thing and get something else done. So I'm always like rushing from one thing to the next, and I don't think I'm always giving as much attention and time and energy into the things that I should be. So that's the first thing that I'm really trying to recondition myself, because I can, like, as I was working on this piece, which is actually ending up being a really long piece for me to work on, I can feel my like anxiety of spending too much time on a piece, building and building, and I have to keep reminding myself that I need to allow myself to spend more time on stuff, because when I spend more time on stuff, they end up being things that I feel much happier with in the end result. So I'm trying really hard to stop thinking the way that I think that I've made myself think for a long time now. So this piece was definitely a good step in the right direction as far as making sure that I was letting myself put the time and the care into this piece that I wanted to, without feeling like almost like a guilt, like I needed to move on and I needed to produce something else. And I think it's just, it comes back to quality over quantity. I think that my brain has been thinking that I need to produce and produce and produce, and I need to have more quantity of art. But really, I need to have more quality. That's the kind of stuff that people care about. That's the kind of stuff that I care about drawing. So basically, I'm just trying to say that I feel like I did good, at least on this piece, by allowing myself to put more time into it and to really stop feeling like I needed to move on and just let myself figure out how to make this the best piece that I could. And one very clear and obvious example of that I need to spend a little bit more time and rethink the stuff that I'm putting down and really analyze what I'm doing is the face. So the first sketch that I did right at the beginning, where I was just getting it down and I was sketching, and I stopped and I looked at it and I realized her face was really not good. It was definitely bringing the whole piece down. I really liked her pose, I liked the figure, I liked what I was getting there, but her face was really kind of a few steps back, and I think a lot of times I might not have even really taken the time to look at it and think about how I can fix it and how I can really make it better and push this piece farther. But this time I really wanted to like this, and when I really looked at her face, it was really bringing it back. And it's also a style that I'm really trying to move away from. I'm trying really hard to stop doing things that are not really based as much in reality. I really like having a very stylized look, but I'd like to pull it back to more realistic proportions so that they can have the emphasis in the areas that I want, rather than them all looking kind of the same kind of proportions. And I've noticed that a lot of my faces I end up making like too wide, so they end up looking more younger and more childish than I actually want them to, because I want to be able to do characters that look more mature. So the first step for actually improving this piece was just stepping back and looking at it and realizing that there was a kind of a big issue that I could resolve and that I could fix much better, that I have the drawing capability to make that better, but a lot of times I just skip past it and I don't fix things. And I think it just comes down to, I put down my first idea, I sketch it out, and since I'm in this rush to move on, I move on and I don't redraw, I don't rethink. And I think that comes in a lot of things. That's when I'm working on compositions and thumbnails. A lot of times I will go with the first thing that works, but not necessarily the best one. And I don't know, I'm feeling very excited and motivated about rethinking how mentally I process my images and how I go about having this process. And I think that really giving myself time to step back and to look at it and think, what can I make better in this? Where can I improve this piece? And really be a lot more analytical about that. I think that I'll be able to improve my pieces quite a lot. I think that I'm really holding myself back. I mean, there's times where I do a piece that I feel like almost like it was a fluke, but not really a fluke, but like I just feel so good about it. I feel really happy with how it turned out. The execution was really good. And then I think, why can't all my pieces be this way? And the truth is, they, for the most part, can be. I just need to give myself the opportunity to put in more time and put in the thought process to elevate them and make them better. But I've got to say, it definitely felt really good. Like I was reconnecting with the way that I like to create my artwork in the past years, because I used to like to do very intricate character designs with a lot of details and getting in there and designing things and designing how things work and different details that I can include throughout the character and just finding ways to really make a very cohesive character design. And I think that I haven't really focused on character design in a long time, and that's something that I absolutely loved growing up and through high school and through most of college. I loved that process of making sure that the overall design looked really good, and it was like finding all the puzzle pieces that I could put together. And I haven't done that in so long, and it was really good to get back into that. When I was drawing this, it kind of clicked that it was like, oh yeah, I used to love this and I haven't done it in a while. Why haven't I done this in a while? And I think that, you know how you get like, you hear someone say something or you get an idea in your head and it kind of sticks and it changes the way you're thinking. And I remember in college, one of my teachers was just talking about how, I don't remember exactly what the context was. I mean, it was a long time ago, but just about characters being vignetted without a background and how that's not as fulfilling of an image, or that it's not pushing the design as far, or that it is a letdown of an illustration for it to be just a vignette like that. And I mean, it's definitely true in many ways, in many situations, but I think that I took it to a complete extreme. I stopped doing characters like this, like, altogether, and I haven't done anything similar to this in a very long time, since I really internalized that. And I think that once I was drawing this, I realized, I was like, oh yeah, that's kind of why I haven't really done this anymore. But do I still actually believe that? Do I think that doing a character design like this is lesser than doing something that's more filled out? And I don't. I think that stuff like this really showcases the character, which is the kind of image that I want for this piece, so it can be used really well. So yeah, there's just all these little like things that you realize really influence the way that I work and I think. And I'd like to start being a little bit more analytical and picking apart why I'm thinking that way. That way I can be sure, yeah, I still agree with that, or no, maybe I'd like to try it a different way or experiment, instead of letting myself be trapped in these little boxes that I'm making myself. But this video is super philosophical up to this point, but why don't we talk about the piece a little bit? Like I said, I was really feeling getting back into like my core idea of how I like to create art. I like doing characters, I like doing intricate details, I like doing line work, and this was like everything. It was all the things that I love, and I haven't been putting as much time into doing that kind of stuff. So it felt really good, and it was so much fun to have a sketch that I was really excited about, for me to be able to move on to the next step and to feel that excitement of wanting to line art it. And I know I talk about it all the time, but line arting is one of my absolute all-time favorite things ever. It's just so exciting to bring this rough sketch and then just like clean it up and nail in those very specific details that I want to get it exactly right. It feels so good. But yeah, this one, I ended up spending a really long time on the line work. It was like 4.5 hours just on the line work itself, which is a lot of time for how much I'm used to spending on on stuff like this, on line work. And usually when it takes that long, I usually have a very complicated background, things with perspective, with a lot of details. Backgrounds end up taking me a lot longer when I'm doing line work. So this amount of time that it took for line work was kind of not usual for my pieces, but I think it was a good reminder that more complicated character designs like this, it still takes time. I know that, like, in my head I think, oh well, it's a character. Characters are easy, they're quick, I can get it down. But if I want to have the kind of detail and get everything correct the way that I want it to, it's going to take time. And it was a good reminder of that, because I do really want to do more like this. I want to spend more time on line work, and I want to do more character stuff like this. So I need to start, like, allowing myself to realize that I can spend more time on the line work than what I think I should be spending time on. But yeah, I mean, for the most part, I really love doing line work, but there were a few times that it felt really tedious, especially towards the end. After 4.5 hours, it started feeling very, I'm just ready to be done. I'm ready to start coloring this. And it actually ended up going over, like, I was working the night before and then I finished it up in the morning. So it was like, it felt really long and I was just so ready to color it. And working on her hair, I love drawing hair and I love sketching it, but sometimes doing the line work can get really tedious, because I like having a lot of detail and I like showing the flow of the hair, which means that I have to do a lot of brush strokes. And yeah, this one I started feeling that just a little bit, but overall it was really fun. And I do love doing hair line work, because it feels like it's like this puzzle. All of the line work kind of feels like a puzzle that I'm fitting the pieces into and figuring it out, but the hair especially. And I think it's probably because I start with the broader shapes and then I find ways to loop it in, like, connect the different shapes, and then ways that I can break that up and add more detail. But anyways, I really love doing it. Like I said, there are definitely some times where it's just like, I am ready to be done and I'm ready to move on to the color. And this piece was just, again, a really good reminder that the sketch is ultimately the most important part. If the sketch is bad, the line work is not going to fix it, and the coloring is not going to fix it, and the shadows and the highlights, no amount of detail or additions after that point is going to fix an incorrect sketch or a bad looking sketch. That's the bones of the image, and if it's not right, it's not going to be right from that point on. And I need to be able to remember to put more time into the parts that really, really matter, like the sketch. And this piece, I feel like, was a really prime example to me that I need to go back. I need to re-sketch things. I need to really give it the time to make sure that the proportions are correct, that the overall mood is correct that I want to have. And yeah, it was a really good process for me to be able to really feel like I was improving that picture right then, that I was improving it and it became better. And that was so satisfying. Because a lot of times it's hard to feel that immediate sense of improvement. And in this one, it was very clear and obvious. I could see it happening right before my eyes. It turned from a very mediocre image into a sketch that I was really excited about. But that is pretty much it for this half. Like I said, I'll have the coloring half very soon. I'm actually coloring it this morning as we speak, and I'm really excited about the colors and how she's looking at this point. So I'm excited to show you guys her, but yeah, I will definitely have her as a print as soon as I'm finished with her. I'm excited to include her into my more finished print portfolio, because I'm going to be bringing her to the conventions that I'm going to later this year. So it feels good that I've added something that I feel, or I am currently working on, and I feel really happy with and excited about. So she'll definitely help beef up my print portfolio for that. Anyways, thank you so much for watching, and don't forget to hit subscribe and check out my shop, and I'll see you at my next one. Bye!